Can you imagine what your existence would be if you were able to shed off the performer, the person that feels the need to conform and go with the crowd? What would that mean to you? For the majority of our lives, we take on ideas and expectations and standards from the outside in, and we compartmentalize, and we decide at some point who I am internally is probably not good enough, and I have to perform. I have to be this character for other people. At least for me, that's what it was. Growing up, there were certain standards and expectations. And of course, you have your own as well. But a majority of it was imported. And it, like I said, compartmentalizes within you. And then now you are in a performance. And one thing we never really factor in until later on is how many of our decisions, the directions we went in life, were guided by this performer, leading us down a path that at some point we say, I don't know why I'm going down this path. What am I even doing? And so that's why oftentimes when we have a dream we're pursuing, a vision for our life, that maybe one day it'll just vanish. You just won't want it anymore. For me personally, that is my belief. That is, at that point, the performer gets an insight from the self, the unconscious child self that exists within you. Some of us, it's more dormant. Some of us is there, just not communicated with long enough. But at some point that says, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't go along with what we're doing. And it'll do whatever it needs to do to get you to change course, change direction. Because when we pursue money, we pursue status and power, of course, there's a level that we need that's going to make us feel a little bit healthy, right? Like you want to make sure your means are covered. You want to make sure that you have some impact on the world. Those are healthy things. Those are good things to have. But we have been so heavily reliant on them, so driven by them, that we start to lose ourselves. We lose our sense of self as to who we are and what we're supposed to really be doing. At the base level, your pursuit, your life's mission, is to have a way that your ego and your soul are integrated in constant communication with each other. Almost think of it like a Venn diagram. You have one side that's your conscious ego, and then you have the other side, which is your unconscious self. And having those two overlap, the integration is when all of a sudden you look around your life and you say, where have I been all this time? Where have I been? Almost as if I've been a walking husk, this walking autonomous thing, but not really feeling what I'm doing. Almost being an observer to what I'm doing. That was a painful part for me during my identity loss, when I abandoned I shouldn't say abandoned, but it just felt almost like one day I woke up and I didn't want to become a world champion in jiu-jitsu anymore. And that was a huge loss. But it was throughout that process of healing and the development of my Rule of Three method now that I realized that the whole time I was performing. I wasn't really being guided by who I was. In the healing process, of course, I had to also acknowledge the benefits of what I got out of that. There were aspects of my performance that allowed me to stay consistent, to work towards what I'm doing and achieve things and win medals and win titles. So there was not all negative to it. But I had to, at some point, look inwardly and say, I can't keep this facade going. And once you make that decision, that's when everything begins. The real journey begins now. Because when you start to realize that all these other things, money and admiration, all these things are accessory. They are complements to the main foundation, which is the integration, finding wholeness within yourself. And is when you find wholeness with yourself, you almost feel as if the universe or God is rewarding you for that, and you start to notice coincidences in your life. You start to notice things just kind of start to fall into place, and the less you try, the more happens. It's something really incredible. Really, really incredible. But the reason why we can't see it prior to that is because the performer has a lens. It has a way it views things. And it can skew the image. It can warp the image. When the self knows pretty well what's going on. And when we ignore and we suppress and we go about our lives and years go on, there's two options we have to have. It's either we acknowledge the soul and say, okay, I'm sorry I left you behind. I've been neglecting you, the inner child. I've been pushing you by the wayside, pursuing my ego's fantasy, when really I should have been bringing you along with me. So it's either you notice it or you push it farther and farther down. The good news is it never really dies. It just gets very dormant, and it just takes a long process to bring it out, to finally essentially bring it into the light. But your main pursuit is integration, harmonizing the ego and the soul. And the first way to start this process, or at least one of the ways, is to recognize what performance are you playing. That doesn't mean you're a liar. That doesn't mean you're deceptive. That just means there are ways that you've been trying to heal, trying to just get along. But I know deep down you don't want to just get along anymore. You want to be. You want to exist. You want to feel and see and experience. And if some don't like you, whatever. You want to care less about that. Because there's going to be people who will see you for what you are, and they want nothing but to be around you, to experience what you're experiencing. That could be with family and friends. That is the foundation. And then everything you build on top of that is just wonderful accessory to your life. Understand that you don't have to be anything but who you are. And who you are is found from the inner world. No amount of money, authority, respect, all that, no amount of it, no volume of it will actually complete you. It'll feel almost like a black pit that you take in and just never get satiated. But when the soul is integrated, when the inner child is healed as much as possible, you will be full from a simple walk in nature, a simple conversation with someone you love, participating in activity that you are passionate about, just participating, not even needing it to have an outcome. And that's the life that you can have. You can have it. It just takes acknowledging the dark elements within us, within ourselves, recognizing it, respecting it, trying to understand it. And by bringing it into the foreground of your conscious mind, these deep emotions and traumas and issues, we bring it forward and acknowledge it and respect it and see it for what it is. There are elements that are tragic, but there are elements of it that has helped you, brought you to where you are. Maybe it built your resilience. Maybe it built this toughness, this strong exterior. There are good elements to it. And simply having that awareness will be so healing. It will be lifting weight off your shoulders simply by recognizing it and appreciating it. But then, of course, moving forward past that, changing the story of how you see things and experience things, and knowing now my pursuit is wholeness. My pursuit is integration. And through that, everything else will start to fall into place. You still have to do the work. You still have to make the right decisions. You can't just fully rely on God or the universe. You still have to do your part, but it'll be smoother than you think. And the hard times will feel hard, but you're able to process them better. You're able to heal better, more effectively, with less weight. And when the good moments come, you can experience them vividly, not worrying that they're going to leave, not worrying that it's going to end. Because your perspective has widened. If you would like deeper information on this topic, I have a community that part of my newsletter. If you just click the link below in the description, it'll send you over there. I write a monthly newsletter as of now. Whether I change it to weekly in the future, we'll see. But right now it's monthly. And it's a place for people who are looking to rebuild purpose back in their life, to rediscover their identity, aim towards integration, and to move past a fallen dream that you've once had. And it was an environment that I wish I had when I was going through my time. But now I feel absolutely excited and passionate about creating this now going forward for you. So I really hope to see you on the other side, and I'll see you in the next video.